Welcome to episode 92 of Rush Roundtable. This is my dog, Getty. On this episode, we each picked 3 songs that we think were overlooked that could have or should have been hits for Rush. Getty, what do you think? What should have been a big hit for Rush? Tell us. Oh, Getty says Red Lenses.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Rush Roundtable. Today we're talking about overlooked songs that could have or should have possibly been radio hits. So songs that, in our opinions, should have been more of a standout song than they were. So this is part 3, continuing from part 1, which was episode number 22 of Rush Roundtable a long time ago. And episode number 58, where we had Donna Halper on for the first time. So again, this is part 3 of overlooked songs that could have or should have made it as radio hits. And we're each going to give you 3. We're going to go around the round table 3 times, and we're going to start with Alana. So go ahead.
All right. I'm starting off with my wild card, and I'm going to say Superconductor. I love this song with my whole heart. I think it's very pop-centric, so I think it would have probably, in my alternate universe, would have had wonderful radio play. It has a music video, a very good music video, in my opinion. The fashion is on point, the hair on point. I think it's catchy. As one of the other folks on Roundtable has said before, it sounds like a Saturday morning commercial cartoon kind of jingle, and I'm here for it. I think it works, and I think it would have killed on the radio.
All right.
Fun fact about that music video, they are not on the sides they usually are. So Getty is on the left side and Alex is on the right side. I just think that's weird, but interesting fun fact.
It is very, very, very odd that they did that. I wonder what the reasoning for that was, but maybe they just did it just to be different.
They were designing to deceive. Baby, that's entertainment.
That's entertainment. There you go. All right, so I'm just briefly going to say, since I was on part 1 and part 2 of this, the songs that I picked from then, I just want to read them off just so that everyone knows that I'm not going to choose these again. So The Analog Kid, The Pass, Time Stands Still, Wish Them Well, Lock and Key, and Marathon were my 6 choices, 3 from each. So my first one for today is actually, believe it or not, from the debut album. It is Here Again. Why am I choosing this? Because a couple reasons. I've spoken with Donna Halper enough that she told me that this was one of the songs that she played on the radio back in Cleveland. Of course, the standout song was Working Man. Excuse me, that's the song that, kind of got Rush over. But Here Again was another one that was played along with, I believe she said Finding My Way. Those 3 were the ones that were played regularly. But Here Again, to me, back in 1974, another thing that Donna said was that you were looking for longer tracks because longer tracks, you could go run to the bathroom when you had to go to the bathroom when you were a DJ. Here Again, it's 25 seconds, I think, 25 seconds longer than Working Man. So it's similar in length. But when I'm looking for songs that could have been radio hits, I'm looking for songs that, primarily you can sing along to. And I know Here Again is a little bit slower, but I think it has lyrics that are kind of catchy and that can be sung along to. And I think it's a really good, longer-ish rock song that could have been a radio hit back then. So that's my number 1.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. Mario, go ahead.
I'm going to pick for my first one. Now, this was very last minute, so I never got to, to actually think, but I think this is a good one, is Caravan. I think Caravan, it was a single when it was first released, actually 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I think Caravan is a great song for the radio because, you can't stop thinking big. I think it reminds me of Far Cry in a way, opening track, opening track. Just, gave people a preview what to expect for the Clockwork Angels album, which didn't come out for another like full 2 years, but definitely catchy, I think. A great instrumental break, and I really think it would have definitely did well on the radio, especially like 105.5 WDHA in New York, New Jersey. I just thought it's a great song. The lyrics, stand out, and I personally have a connection to it. So if I heard that on the radio, I would get goosebumps. So I really think Caravan would be a great song that should deserve airtime.
Great message too. The I Can't Stop Thinking Big. That alone, I think.
In a world where I feel so small,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect for New York, really. All right, Pat. So Pat was on, I think part 1 of this with I. So why don't you tell us what 3 songs you picked then, and then give your first.
So yeah, the 3 songs I picked back then, I know I had Cold Fire, The Pass, and Best I Can. And the reason I picked those were because like they were kind of like fast, catchy songs that never really, that all of them should have been recognized more. And I know Cold Fire had light radio play counterparts. At least that was good, but I think they should have been up there with songs like Distant Early Warning and Big Money. But I digress. So for this one, my first song, I want to stick towards like the 90s, and I'm putting Half the World, and mostly because that's like one of the catchiest songs on the album, but pretty much every song was overshadowed by Driven or Resist, which, are great songs, and both those songs I was never really too much of a fan of, but I appreciate them more now because I've been listening to them recently. But Half the World, I think, is a top 3 song on this album, and just the fact that like it's under 4 minutes, it's catchy. The music video is cool too. I think it should, it would have been nice on the radio. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Half the World is one of my favorite songs off that album.
I considered that for this, actually. I didn't pick it, but I very much considered it. This should have been the standout song on that album, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Jared.
Okay, well, as a Rush fan, this is a hill I am willing to die on, and that is my choice is Everyday Glory. It boggles my mind that people don't love this song. It cooks right from the beginning. When it starts, it's just boom, we're right into the song. It's humming. And, the message is kind of a little sad in the middle, but then towards the end, it's just so triumphant. And, if the future's looking dark, I feel like Ron Burgundy when he's like, if you don't like this song, I will drive to your house and fight you. And that's kind of how I feel about this song. I just love it. My tears start to well up in my eyes, like every time I listen to it. And that's not for nothing, and I really, really love the emotional songs. So yeah, I don't understand why Everyday Glory didn't get more play, that was never played live, etc. And I really think it's kind of poppy too. So I really think it has all the makings for a radio hit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
100%. I think they should have been on, like, I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure, Ryan, you would know if it's on like the Chronicles or whatever, but that song,
I don't think Everyday Glory made anything.
it should have made at least albums.
Maybe it did.
Well, Chronicles came out before Counterparts.
Yeah, Chronicles was way.
You mean one of the
the
reflection albums or whatever they're called?
retrospective. Yeah,
Retrospective.
I don't know. I don't own them. Actually, yes, I do.
Pulls it right out.
All 3 of them.
No, this is the first retrospect. I only own the first one. Sorry.
Someone can look it up. But.
Yeah. I don't think it is, but I don't know. But I agree with that. It's a fantastic tune too. All right, Mark.
Yeah, I didn't hear the first 2 parts, so I don't know if I'm picking a song someone else has picked, but Middletown Dreams was the first song that jumped to mind for me off Power Windows.
Yeah, totally.
And, I like, the story sort of behind it. I read Neil's books. So when I read Traveling Music, he talks about that a little bit, that he was inspired by a concept album that Frank Sinatra did, I guess back in the late 50s, called Watertown.
Yeah. That'd be definitely, I would agree with that. It's a good pick. And if you're picking anything from the first two episodes, totally fine. This is entirely your opinion. You don't have to deviate from that.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if someone else had picked that one at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some overlap here. That's entirely fine. All right, let's go through a second time. So, Alana.
All right. One that's probably going to be more well received is going to be Dreamline. I think it's some of Neil's best lyrics. I think it really has such an intricate sound production with kind of that plain introduction and the very crisp that they used lasers for on tour, that do 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 do. And I just think that it would have really got and caught people's ear if it was on the radio. I think it would have been a huge hit. And we're talking about thematics and everything, and we're only immortal for a limited time. I mean, that blew my mind when I was getting into Rush, and it was like the quote I had over all my notebooks and in my locker and whatnot. And I think it's such a fan favorite, and I'm honestly shocked at the lack of radio play it got. And I think that would have been a huge hit.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. When Roll the Bones came out, that was immediately my favorite song on that album, and remains so today, really.
And speaking of Roll the Bones, I know this episode's coming out a week after, but today is 9/3, Roll the Bones, 30th birthday.
Yeah.
So shout out to Roll the Bones. 30 years of Roll the Bones. So for my second one, I'm going with Counterparts again. I know Jared picked one from Counterparts. I'm going with Animate. I mean, first song on the album. This is top 10 Rush song to me. Like not like my favorites, but this is just like I think this song is up there with your, Side One of Moving Pictures, first couple songs off Permanent Waves. I think this song is just that good. I just think it never was received, that well by radio. I mean, I just feel like it never got radio play, and I feel like if it did, a lot more people would think the way I do, in that it is a top 10 Rush song. Very, again, the number one thing I'm looking for in radio hits are lyrics that you can sing along to, because when I think radio, I think listen to music in your car as the number one place, and I think people like to, sing the lyrics in their car to them, probably mostly to themselves, and probably air drum a little bit too. So this song's got all that for that. Polarize Me, that whole part, that's something that people could be singing along in the car as well. So it's got a great little guitar solo too, so that never hurts. Animate. What do you guys think?
Totally.
Yeah, definitely like to drum
agree.
the steering wheel when that one's on.
Yeah, there you go. All right, cool. Mario.
Sticking to Alana with the same album, I'm going to say Ghost of a Chance. Another, emotionally connected song, about finding love and, all that good stuff, in a time, like dating is so, cliche, especially in my generation, it's all like these dating apps and online, but it's, it's a great song, and it's not like a upbeat, catchy. It's more like a moody song in a way, something kind of like, Elton John or maybe like a Billy Joel in a way. And I think it did have a little bit of radio airtime when it first aired, but like, you ain't ever going to hear that song on the radio now. I think it definitely deserved more playtime, more airtime, especially in this generation, because it's just so hard because, there's so many people that are alone right now, and they're just trying to find that right person. And I think a lot of people could connect to this song if they listen to it. And that's why I think it should have more airtime because, a lot of people could relate to it.
So this was a single.
It was.
It was released in March of 1992. Yeah, I think that's probably why it got some airplay, like you had mentioned. Because I thought it was a single. I just looked it up. It was a single. Yeah. And again, happy birthday, Roll the Bones, 30th birthday. But that's a
Fellow
really
Virgo.
really good choice. All right, Pat, number 2.
So for my second song, I'm going to the 2000s. I'm going to go with Sweet Miracle. Now with this song, like, I think like it's very, I don't know, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are like meh with it. I really like it. It's kind of like, buried in the album. There's already 13 tracks, so you can't really focus on just, one over the other really. But this one it's another one that's like short and sweet, but it just needed that, like, I don't know.
Pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. It needed that one week where it could just be more radio friendly. I don't know what that is. Even with the remastered version, it, I don't know. It really didn't change. I didn't really notice a change in it, but I don't know. It could have just used some, just maybe if it was a little more cleaner, even more cleaner, it would have had a chance, be played on like some like alt stations, but that's all I gotta say.
I could see it.
What do you guys think?
I'm on board with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because it's short. I think it's the shortest or second to short. Either the shortest or second to shortest track on that album, I think. So, could be entirely wrong, but it's a pretty short track, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Cool.
Jared?
Okay, my second one, I'm going to go with A Farewell to Kings. I think, when I look at Rush radio hits, I think The Trees is a radio hit. And I think that this song was kind of like The Trees before The Trees because it starts off really beautifully acoustically. And then it just starts rocking from there and nonstop. And then at the end, it kind of fades out with more, just a slow acoustic ending. And I think that people would be drawn to the rocking part in the middle. And I think if The Trees can be a hit, and I love The Trees, then why couldn't this? And, I think The Trees has a very, odd subject, material, and so does A Farewell to Kings. But I wonder if Rush played a part, because I don't know why they didn't embrace this more and play it more live, because I feel like if they played it live in the 80s, 90s, whatever, people would have gone nuts for it. But I think they stopped playing it like in the late 70s. So, yeah, that's my choice.
Yeah, they definitely stopped playing it, I think. Permanent
Could you
Wave
see,
Tour, I think.
when Alex would
So-
bring out that little, what's it called, the ovation stand, I think they said he invented it, the thing that holds the acoustic guitar, like, 45-degree diagonally or whatever, and then he just backs away from the thing while he's got his electric on. Like, I would just love to see it once when he does it with
Right.
A Farewell to Kings instead of The Trees. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely see that. I mean,
It's a little
although
long, but,
I'm
it's almost 6 minutes, but I still think, yeah, it's like,
It's
so is Red
worth it.
Barchetta. So, yeah.
well, that's true. I mean, I feel like with, a lot of people say Closer to the Heart is their first big, like, radio-friendly song. I mean, like, yeah, I guess Working Man, but if you really think about it, Closer to the Heart was the kind of really put them somewhat radio mainstream, right? So maybe
Sure.
it probably just got overshadowed by that maybe, but I can totally see it, especially it's also a title track, that probably
and
helps.
There's 2 other songs on there that are way too long. For
Yeah,
radio.
right. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Mark.
I'm going to go with Entre Nous from Permanent Waves. Aside from being my favorite song that Rush has ever done, I just think that one was overshadowed by Spirit of Radio and Free Will on that particular album.
Yeah.
Those are such radio-friendly hits. They were big hits for the band. But, again, Entre Nous, I think, is one of their better songs.
Yeah, I could totally see that. That's a really good pick. You're right, though. It's very overshadowed. I mean, what can you do?
It was great when they busted that out on tour.
Yeah.
Oh,
People
yeah.
were so ecstatic. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite video of the song is from the Snakes and Arrows tour. I love, that version of it.
Yeah, great pick. All right, let's go through third and final time. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you like rank them, like if the third one's like the one you think definitely should have been. I don't know. I didn't personally. I just went in chronological order. But if you did, then now would be the time to also say that. So you're up.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Okay.
But I got the more novelty one out of the way first, and I would say Dreamline, and then my third and final pick for the evening being Force 10 is on that similar wavelength. For me personally, I think the ethereal kind of sound from that track is so reminiscent of other prog rock bands. It's got almost a very, very small touch of Floyd in there that I think would have really caught on with audiences if it was more of a radio hit, and had a little more airtime. I mean, you have the giggle in the background in the beginning is so eerie.
Do it,
and every
Ryan.
time
Do
I
the
listen,
You want me to do the giggle?
Yeah.
There you go.
that's pretty good. I just
I practiced
every
that all
time
the
I
time.
listen to that song, you should. That was very on point. It puts me on a patio. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, so it puts me on the patio with a drink in my hand and watching like a huge severe thunderstorm roll in, and it instantly puts me in that mindset of summer, and it's just such a good it's just good. It's in my top 10 Rush songs of all time, I think. And I think it would have killed on the radio.
All right.
You know what's funny about that song? Well, I mean, like a lot of you, I read Neil's books, and I think it was Ghostwriter where he had just a quote above every chapter, and he had one from Force 10 when I first read it, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not from Force 10, but it was from like the the part where Geddy just kind of, it's like an overplay, the rising, falling.
Oh,
at
yeah.
Force 10.
Mhm.
And I think when I first listened to the song, I just never really heard that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, no, this isn't from Force 10. What is he talking about? But then I was like, oh, okay, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
very layered. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the another interesting thing about that song is Pi Dubois has a writing credit with Neil on it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was
If
looking
you've
up.
never heard of Pi Dubois, he wrote a bunch of songs for Max Webster. Although I don't think he was a member of the band. He was just a songwriter.
Mhm.
Oh.
Okay, here's the layers. Look around, rising at the sight and sound, falling out at Force 10. Look in, look out, look around. We twist the world and ride the wind. That's the
Yeah, so the quote Neil had was basically rising, falling, something at Force 10, we twist the world and
Yeah.
ride with the wind, something like that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was like, wait, I
that's
don't
cool.
remember that.
Yeah, right. Mario, were you going to say something?
I lost my train of thought.
Okay. All right. So my third.
Well, sorry.
Yeah,
blurted
go.
out.
Go.
Wasn't he a poet also, Pi Dubois?
Yeah.
Because I actually referenced him on a freshman year college essay. I referenced Between Sun and Moon. Yeah, any chance I could get to reference Rush in an essay, I took that opportunity. And it was even better when your professor knew exactly what song it was too, and what exact album it was. So I'm like, okay, this professor gets it. So I referenced Between Sun and Moon, and I ended up getting an A, and I think I know why. Back to you.
Yeah, and in fact,
There you
between
go.
that poem, I forget the full title of it, but Between Sun and Moon influenced a lot of the lyrics Neil wrote for the Counterparts album.
Interesting.
he didn't give him writing credit on it, but he really was into the poem.
That makes a lot of sense.
Cool. All right, so for my number 3 is from Vapor Trails. It is How It Is. Not because I'm madly in love with this song, but because I do think that if you look at Vapor Trails from top to bottom, a lot of people say it's kind of a muddy album, the original one anyways. Kind of a muddy album. To me, How It Is wasn't like that, even on the original. It starts off with, I believe Alex playing like the 12 string. It's got, again, lyrics that you can really sing along to as a radio hit. And I really like the message, you know, that it's perfectly fine to not be perfectly fine, you know. It's okay not to be okay. And I think that could resonate with a lot of people if it became, you know, a radio hit. I really think that song, because again, nothing really, to me, I mean, I guess you could say One Little Victory is like their comeback song, but none of the songs from One Little Victory really stood out as radio hits, or even popular tracks, in my opinion. So I feel like if given that opportunity, How It Is could have stood out and been a radio hit, you know, from that era of Rush.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the lighter tracks on there. I didn't even think about that. Because I'm team Vapor Trails is very muddy, which I like. But yeah, that stands out on its own, I think.
Yep. I mean, I think while I say the original version of that, you know, is not as muddy as some of the other tracks on the original version, I do like the remixed version of How It Is more. So, but either way, I still think that version could have and should have been more popular than it was, and probably could have been on the radio.
Guess that's just how it is.
I guess that's just how it is, and I guess it's just
And
your
how
turn.
it's gonna be.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I do like that. All right. So my final song, now it's in no particular order. I personally think Nobody's Hero definitely should have got some, you know, more radio airtime, if it even ever did. I mean, there was a music video for it, but especially now in this day and age, you know, with all the you know, the equal rights and everything that's going on in the world, I think this song is very important. Now, it's usually something we don't hear from Rush. You know, you think of Rush, you think of all like these happy songs, all these science fiction and all that, but this is just like, this just hits you in a different direction. You know, it hits you in the feels. It really does. And it makes you want to cry, you know, and I think it definitely should have got more airtime because it's a different side of Rush that we usually don't hear. And people need to understand that Rush isn't all these happy songs and all that. It shows that, you know, they could write songs about serious issues, especially in Neil's life, and it should have been brought to light more. And I really think it deserved to have more airplay.
This was also a single, by the way.
Yes.
So a year after 1994. So yeah, I think I could back that.
Also, such forward-fronting lyrics about, you know, friends and acquaintances of a different, you know, sexual orientation. Nobody was really doing that on the radio at the time, so matter of fact, so bluntly. I think that would have been a really awesome message to keep on the airwaves, especially given the time of the release.
Yeah.
The AIDS epidemic and all that's going on. Kind of like how when Rent first came on Broadway, you know, the person had AIDS, I think, in the show. The character, not the actual actress. But yeah, it relates in a way.
Mm.
Cool. Pat, number 3.
All right, so I'm going back to 2112 for this one, and I'm going to say The Twilight Zone. And my main reasoning for this is it could have been a really good opportunity for like a crossover between like that song and like the actual show. I don't know, like I don't know if like they're recording episodes of the Twilight. Like I don't know what I know they have like some new episodes, but like the OG stuff is like the stuff from like the 60s. But they could have like done something there, or like had like a revamp of it and like use that song in like the background. And I do know that this song was like technically the first full release from 2112. I'm actually just reading that now. So like, it had, being released as a single, like I guess it had its, sharing the spotlight, but I don't know. I think they could have done more with that song.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that could have stood the test of time in terms of being a radio staple, in my opinion. But I do think that I think you're onto something when you say it could have helped, catapult them into mainstream.
Yeah.
If they kind of did a crossover with the show, I mean, because 2112 bought them their creative freedom, but it didn't exactly put them on the radio all the time either.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Jared.
I'll tell you, I mean, one thing I love is just the various opinions of the Rush fans. I mean, I wrote down 9 songs. None of them have been chosen yet. It's amazing. So I'll just pick one more that I really wanted to do is Between the Wheels.
There you go.
This song rocks. And I mean, it starts with keyboards. I sort of like think about what is a hit. Like Subdivisions is a hit and it starts with keyboards. And yeah, Between the Wheels is a little bit slower. But then Alex comes in but it just has this moment to it. Some songs do where I sort of like in my mind, I'm like, uh-oh, it's go time. And like, maybe that's when they played it live, but it's kind of just when Alex's solo kicks in, I'm like, it's go time. And it just cooks right to the end, and you're just kind of like, whoa, what just happened? Alex just melted my face with a kick-ass solo. And I think, it's got a great message. And I think Between the Wheels could have been a big radio hit.
That's a really good one. I didn't even think of that. That's a really good pick. Yeah.
That was on my backup in case somebody else said one of mine, because it's fantastic. I've talked about it on numerous roundtables, numerous like 2, but it's phenomenal. I love that song. Yeah, more than 1, but less than 7. So
yeah, this is really geeky. But like at grad school, I went to math grad school, and I was on we played intramurals against like a lot of the undergrads, and people would show up and be like, we're playing the math department, we're going to crush them. But for some reason, we were like, all of us were over 6 feet tall, and we murdered teams. And it was just like demoralizing for them. But before every game, I would listen to Between the Wheels just to psych myself up. And I don't know why. It was just my go-to song. And we kept winning. So I was like, oh, I got to keep doing it, Yeah, okay. The end of a boring story.
No, that's funny. All right. Mark, your last one. Last but not least.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to go with Anagram for Mongo, but I don't think that would stand the test of time as a radio hit. Although I think it's a very clever song. I enjoy it for the cleverness of it. But I'm going to go with Available Light from Presto. And I don't think that was a single. I don't think that was a hit. But I know it's kind of a chill song, but I just find it very relaxing. And I like the lyrics to it.
So, Mark, I've always said that Available Light kind of reminds me, and you're going to think I'm probably crazy, but it gives me Home Sweet Home vibes from Motley Crue. And yes, I'm a Motley Crue fan. I'll tell you that I do like Motley Crue. Obviously, I like Rush, like way up here, and Motley Crue's like, way down here. But I do enjoy Motley Crue sometimes. I always thought if they brought Available Light out live, that it would have been like you would have had people kind of singing along to it. Maybe Geddy on the grand piano, kind of like what I don't know how familiar you guys are with Motley Crue and their live shows, but I think it's Vince Neil sits behind the grand piano and sings, and everyone's singing along in unison. And I always thought it could have had that same atmospheric vibe. Not musically or anything, no, not at all, but like just the vibe of it. So of course, Home Sweet Home you can hear on the radio every once in a while. It's not one of Motley Crue's biggest hits, but it is a hit. So
yeah, that's definitely a hit.
Considering that in my head, I can totally agree with that. And Presto didn't really have I mean, Alana said Superconductor, but even the title track nothing from Presto really stood out either, in my opinion, radio-wise, in the past, but nothing really hit the radio. Vitor's barking there in the background. Someone's
That's
Vitor.
my daughter's beagle. Beagles are very dramatic. I'm sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, we can wrap there unless anyone has another song that they really want to get in. That's totally fine. I know you guys said that you wrote down more than 3. If there's anything you really want to get in, you can, or forever, hold it until we do a part 4.
I want to circle back around a superconductor, and I just want to reach out to those listening and say, if you haven't tried it again, try it again. And get back to me, but only if you like it. If you still don't like it, don't talk to me.
There was
Don't get
someone
back to me.
there was someone on the draft that really does not like it.
Yeah. Shout out to our pal Nick if you're watching this episode.
I was gonna say it's probably Nick. We're gonna have a brawl one day.
Mario, did you want to say something?
Oh no.
You're
Thanks
good.
for pulling me in at the last minute. I actually enjoyed it.
No problem. So yeah, anyone that's watching this episode out there, leave some songs in the comments, please. We'll continue the discussion in the comments. Any songs that you think were overlooked by radio stations around the country, around the world, whatever, and let us know some Rush songs that you think that we should be hearing on the radio to this day. So with that, we'll see you next time in Rush Roundtable. Take care, everybody.